I think that play is so important because we lose it so easily as adults. This is truly the only place that I am not incredibly type A and somewhat rigid. This is where I can really express everything, see it all through, and feel like I have the ability to see what works versus being structured and making plans. I'm Kelsey Tynik. We are at the UConn MFA building in Mansfield, Connecticut, and I am an interdisciplinary sculptor. My practice is a multitude of materials and techniques. It could change in any given week what I'm focusing on, but it's predominantly automatic drawing, collage work, and then that translates into larger scale sculptures. When I came here, originally, it was 3 years ago almost. I feel like color palette-wise, it's definitely shifted a bit. And I also think spatially, the wood shop here has changed everything for me. My colors were super loud, really vibrant, like maximalist 101. And I was waiting for my palette to become really green and lush and maybe like resemble nature. And it never really did until more recently when I took the leap of making work a little quieter, which I feel like is something this location has taught me. Just to kind of attempt to slow down and be outside or just do a little less, which is very hard for me and not me in my natural state at all. I went to undergrad also here at UConn, and I was an illustration major and had sort of like the classic panic post-undergrad of like, how do I survive and live? And really accidentally fell into window displays in the fashion industry, which gave me a lot of time and experience to learn further world building. The unfortunate thing about working in like a labor job that is creative is by the time you get to your own studio, you're totally zonked. So I found myself further away from my studio, but really enjoying my work. And then at some point that kind of shifted and I wasn't feeling that anymore and left to focus more on making in general. I was strictly painting. I was really avoiding sculpture. I was in a small Queens apartment, live workspace, and I was like, you just don't have the capacity to do this. Me being just painting lasted like a second. And so I started building a little bit more three-dimensionally. I just felt like I needed to take the pieces that I was happy with on the wall that were 2D and like pluck them out. I started attempting to build out spatially with fabric, and that led to a bunch of stuffed paintings that came from automatic drawings. I was just trying to see what would happen when I dimensionalized those. Once it left the wall and like broke just the traditional frame, it felt so nice. I made a whole series of just fabric stuffed paintings, and they were the perfect example of a one-note situation. They were super sweet, they were friendly, you wanted to hug them, but then you wanted to leave. There was really not much else. It was really interesting to see that because I was like, this is gonna be amazing. And it was, but it was just like, eh. And once I introduced a new material in, I tried multiple materials and really nothing seemed to pair as well as wood. And I had been fighting my love for wood for years. I was like, do not do this to yourself. And now I'm all the way in. I feel like the idea of having this rigid material that you really have to build differently with from fabric is both interesting in the making and in the final product. I can't really enter wood in the same way that I enter the fabric. It has to be sequenced if you want a piece that you're dreaming up in your head. Like, you need to consider it in a way that you don't or that I don't have to consider the fabric, because I allow myself to go with the flow more with the fabric pieces. And I think that's helpful for the piece in general. I love collage work. I have a bin of like all my sentences and my collages. More recently, my journal keeping here, with the help of a professor, turned into automatic writing and kind of keeping a log of a few sentences a week and seeing how they interacted with either my collage making or my automatic drawing. I think the thing before the thing is sometimes more interesting. And so the words became really important this year because I feel like I'm in this place where I think I know what I want to say, but I'm not saying it appropriately. And it just helped me kind of like clarify more of what all of this is by not taking it so formally either. I feel like, especially as a woman, the idea of play seems super frivolous and sort of a very easy thing to dismiss. And I've been trying to get the language right around what I actually mean when I say I play, because it's not without intention. I'm playing by means of risk-taking, trusting my intuition, having some set of parameters or an idea of what I want to focus on. It's not a willy-nilly sense of play. It's still decision-making. You know, I never say, oh, I'm gonna go to my studio to play. I only refer to this as a place of work, but surely I'm also enjoying everything I'm doing. Truly, for me, being an artist is the only option. I would lose my mind if I wasn't one. I've tried very hard to not have this necessarily be my livelihood, but I'm really unhappy when I'm not making things. There's no better joy than being able to come into my studio and work. I mean, of course, there are days where I'm like, I'm not doing that, or I'll just sit here and stare at the ceiling. But for the most part, even that is, you know, the dream, for me at least.